Winter storms made way for spring. From every season, from where I'm standing, I see evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. Help me remember when I'm weak. Fear may come, but fear will leave. You lead my heart to victory. You are my strength, and you always will be. I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. See the cross, the empty grave, the evidence is endless. All my sins rolled away because of you, oh Jesus. See the cross, the empty grave, the evidence is endless. All my sins rolled away because of you, oh Jesus. Oh, I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. I see the evidence of your goodness all over my life, all over my life. I see your promises in fulfillment all over my life, all over my life. Why should I fear? The evidence is here. Why should I fear? The evidence is here.
Liberating God, we gather to hear your gracious words of hope. We have seen this hope change our lives and the lives of others. Teach us to bear this hope out from this place of sanctuary to those who long for it. Open our hearts and hands for this work. We speak our hope this day for the living and thriving of all people. We hope for your kingdom on earth. Amen. Moses was taking care of the flock for his father-in-law Jethro, Midian's priest. He led his flock out to the edge of the desert, and he came to God's mountain called Horeb. The Lord's messenger appeared to him in a flame of fire in the middle of a bush. Moses saw that the bush was in flames, but it didn't burn up. Then Moses said to himself, "Let me check out this amazing sight and find out why the bush isn't burning up." When the Lord saw that he was coming to look, God called to him out of the bush, "Moses, Moses." Moses said, "I'm here." Then the Lord said, "Don't come any closer. Take off your sandals, because you are standing on holy ground." He continued, "I am the God of your father, Abraham's God, Isaac's God, and Jacob's God." Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, "I've clearly seen my people oppressed in Egypt. I've heard their cry of injustice because of their slave masters. I know about their pain. I've come down to rescue them from the Egyptians in order to take them out of that land and bring them to a good and broad land, a land that's full of milk and honey, a place where the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites all live. Now the Israelites' cries of injustice have reached me. I've seen just how much the Egyptians have oppressed them. So get going. I'm sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I to go to Pharaoh and to bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" God said, "I'll be with you, and this will show you that I'm the one who sent you. After you bring the people out of Egypt, you will come back here and worship God on this mountain." But Moses said to God, "If I now come to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your ancestors has sent me to you,' they're going to ask me, 'What's this God's name?' What am I supposed to say to them?" God said to Moses, "I am who I am. So say to the Israelites, 'I am has sent you.'" God continued, "Say to the Israelites, 'The Lord, the God of your ancestors, Abraham's God, Isaac's God, and Jacob's God, has sent me to you. This is my name forever. This is how all generations will remember me."
Resurrection, as we've been discussing it in this Easter series, is the idea of coming back to life after death. Very much related is liberation, freedom from sin, from death, or from unjust structures that hold us back. Hear this story of liberation from the 21st chapter of John's Gospel. Jesus made a charcoal fire so he could cook breakfast, and he beckoned the disciples to bring some of their fresh-caught fish. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast," giving bread and fish to each disciple. In our fear of scarcity, we're sometimes hesitant to share. After offering sustenance to the weary disciples, Jesus turned to Simon Peter and asked, "Do you love me?" Peter said, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Often we can discover the love language of our faith by sharing with others. Community is essential for faith development. A second time, Jesus asked Peter, "Do you love me?" Peter said, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Tend my sheep." We can grow in faith by caring for others, or if you will, by tending sheep. A third time, Jesus asked Peter, "Do you love me?" Peter felt hurt at the repeated request and said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." And then Jesus said, "Follow me." Follow me? Follow you where, Jesus? I hope this won't take too long or be too hard. I've got things I need to do today. Maybe that's what you're thinking. Maybe that's what the disciples thought. We don't really know. But follow me were the words Jesus offered. It may sound simple when put in this familiar language about feeding sheep, of which we have none, no actual literal sheep around, and about following Jesus. But Jesus doesn't mean follow as in get in line and follow along behind him. Jesus means take what I've taught you and apply it to the life you're living each and every day, each and every hour. Make choices and decisions based on what you have heard me say and what you have seen me do. Before Jesus commissioned his disciples for their liberation work, he sat them down in front of a fire. They feasted together on fish that Jesus showed them how to catch. He liberates them before he sends them out to liberate others. You can picture them maybe with their full bellies relaxing around the fire. It's a good idea to feed people before you ask them to do something hard. It's a wise technique. And then sure enough, when they are all filled up, Jesus gives them a summary of their calling. And he repeats it 3 times. Feed my sheep. And in so doing, he commissions these liberators for the work that is theirs. This work of feeding and liberating is passed down through the generations of the church. At times in our history, it has been a work well done, and sometimes it has been work the church has ignored and forgotten. Until now, in this moment, it is our work to do. It is our work to carry compassion and hope to those who are suffering and vulnerable. This can seem like a big job, and it is. The thing is, and we can speak this truth aloud here in community, liberating work isn't easy. To tend sheep takes presence, patience, and a diligence of love. The prophet Isaiah said, "The Spirit of the sovereign God is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor." The prophet Isaiah was a liberator too. God's Spirit is with me because I have a job to do, because I have been sent. Psalm 146 reminds us of this work as well. Setting prisoners free, opening the eyes of the blind, lightening the load of the burdened, caring for those who are lost or estranged, making short work of the wicked. In short, God helps real people with real problems. Sometimes we envision kind of a nameless, faceless mass of humanity when we think about these lost sheep belonging to God. This is a problem because we need to connect with this liberating force. We need to connect with this resurrection opportunity. We need to see the faces of people we know and people we've read and heard about. We need to see our own faces. In fact, we learn that liberation happens because people are listening for and responding to the cries of the oppressed. God's words to Moses are what? "I've clearly seen my people oppressed in Egypt. I've heard their cry of injustice because of their slave masters. I know about their pain." One of my favorite movies of all time is The Prince of Egypt from 1998. The way the music by Hans Zimmer communicates the majesty, the fear, and the power of this liberation story. God, angry at the plight of God's people, choosing Moses to negotiate with Pharaoh for their release. Moses steeling himself for this liberation work God has commanded, balancing his faith and his belief in God with his lack of faith and belief in himself. Imagine Moses alone in the scrubby undergrowth on Mount Horeb, herding Jethro's sheep, and suddenly before him is a bush, or perhaps better translated, a mess of brambles on fire. By the way, here's a picture of the bush at St. Catherine's Monastery in the Sinai Peninsula, which monastic tradition identifies as being the burning bush. Whether that is or isn't the case, you get the sense of the size and kind of bush we're talking about. So not the bush under the window of your living room in your front yard. It would be amazing. Terrifying, incredible, wouldn't it? Much to his fear and wonder, God has sought him out specifically. God knows his name. God has chosen him for a mission he's pretty sure he can't do. Tell Pharaoh you're taking all of his slaves, just walking right out of Egypt with them, and into Canaan. Because actually, the truth is these people belong to God. God rounds up Moses, and after some discussion, Aaron as a helper. Remember, Moses was a timid prophet, and according to everyone other than God, including Moses himself, he was pretty clear that he wasn't really up for the job. Moses was afraid to speak up and speak out. And yet, he's chosen to bring the very voice of God to the Pharaoh of Egypt. What a courageous thing to do. What a prophetic thing to do. What a crazy thing to do. So often we find that we are wrong when we make assumptions about people. I'm guessing we would have been wrong about Moses too, if we'd been there. God, you're sending Moses? We might have asked. That's not going to go well. We sell ourselves and others short when we imagine limitations that simply don't exist. Every last one of us have God-given gifts for this liberating work. We also stand in the very presence of God. We also experience God sending us to do things we're pretty sure we can't do. God seeks to unite our hearts through this work. Like Moses, we may be amazed, fearful, doubtful. Our tendency is to distrust others. Our tendency is to lack faith in ourselves, even though God has made and equipped us. The oppressed can be liberated. Even the oppressors can be liberated. Liberation offers resurrection. God invites us, God calls us to this work. Even if we think it's work best done by nameless, faceless others, God will wait, patiently or impatiently, for us to find our courage and our voice. Because, dear friends, there is so much at stake.
We hope you're enjoying Podchurch. Please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and be notified each time there's a new video. To learn more about everything that's happening in and around Marquette Hope, check out our Facebook page. You can also get our newsletter on the Facebook as well. Podchurch is the weekly online worship of Marquette Hope, a United Methodist faith community located in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Find us at facebook.com/mqthope, mqthope.com, and on